Welcome to Empowered Senior Seminar Series. This is year number 7. Yeah. We always have people here for the first time, but I'm wondering how many people have been here since 2019? Oh, right. Woohoo! All right. Okay, who's here for the first time ever? Welcome. That's a lot. That's a lot. What brought you here? Keep your hands up. If you are a first timer, how did you find out? A friend. Thank you. All right, how about you guys?
My wife hammered me to get here.
There you go. He's been kidnapped. Hostage. Channel 10. Okay. How about you guys?
Celebrity top.
Channel 10. Thank you, Cake.
Trish brought me.
Trish, she's a good one. She's been here. Okay. All right, I'll come up. How about you?
You brought me here. I saw you on TV yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
I said, I need to go check.
Oh, thank you. And then I hope you'll go out to the gardens too, because we rent this room and it includes tickets for all of you. So we want you to enjoy the gardens while you're here. At least go see one thing. Okay, and it's a nice day. All right, who else over here? All right, here we go. Brand new. The news. Oh my gosh, that is so great. Thank you. Do I look different in real life? Okay, not that much. Oh, thank you. All right, who else? Brand new. So we're a nonprofit. Empowered Seniors, a 501c3. Our mission is to educate, equip, and empower. And so we're so glad you're here. Hi. How did you find out? Television. Okay, who saw me on Cake this week with Todd Allstadt? Yeah. All right. And who has been seeing us almost every week on Cake? We missed a couple weeks because of the baby and all that. All right. Who's been watching our PBS show? Channel 8, Empowering Seniors. It's on every Friday night, prime time. Reruns Saturday afternoon, Channel 8, 8:01. And then Sunday evening on 8:02. Now, how you find that, I don't know. But you could always call PBS Kansas and ask them. But there's some really great guests, some really great topics. And you can live stream them all at pbs.org, the national PBS. You can go on there and you can see all of our recent episodes. And if you have Passport membership, you can see the ones going way back, like episode 301 and 302, a couple of my favorites with Amy Cameron O'Rourke. Who knows why I like that lady? Anybody know? Amy Cameron O'Rourke. The frat my mother knew. See, at least your mom should know. What is the fragile years?
Well, we are in our fragile years.
Don't speak for everybody, Mother. If you think you're in your fragile years, you can tell people or keep it to yourself, but it's a book. It's my favorite book. And believe me, I've got loads of books on aging. Ripley Rose was born on March, what month is this? July 18th. Ripley Rose Miller, Jillian Ambrose Miller's daughter, was born on the 18th. Guess what? She's aging. She's aging. It's true. We all are. And this is about empowering us as we age. I'm glad to see you. I owed you a phone call. You saw me on Cake too. Yeah, that's how we got connected. That's working out pretty good. Maybe some of you could call Cake and thank them for having us on, because isn't it nice that they're bringing good information for mature viewers? Same thing with PBS. We really appreciate that they're allowing us to do this. And we've had really amazing people like Amy Cameron O'Rourke travel 3/4 of the way across the country to be on that show. We've interviewed so many amazing people. And a lot of these shows that we have on PBS, even though it's a half-hour slot, it's like sometimes 23 minutes, give or take. And so you can watch the episodes really quickly. So if you're able to use Passport if you need it to see 301 and 302, I'd really recommend that. But I definitely would recommend that you order that book, The Fragile Years, or ask the library to order it for you. It is a fast, easy read. And by reading it, you'll have an even better idea of why it's important to empower yourself, why it's important to be educated, equipped, and actually take action. Kind of wrap your mind around what's going on with maybe yourself, your spouse, friends, your parents, your kids. And so I love that book. It's so easy to read, and we can name a lot of them. And then Sam Craddock, she didn't write a book, but remember she was here a couple months ago from California? Yeah, and we did 3 television episodes with her on PBS, and you can watch those for free right now. And so that was 501, 502, and 503. Those would be really good to watch. Do you know that Jillian is using some of the techniques that Sam taught us in this room on the baby? Yeah. So studying aging has been really good for us because my husband, Randy, back there, sweating, he carries in all the stuff and does all the rushing around. So we've been realtors for a long time, husband-wife team. All of our kids have worked with us. Jillian is on maternity leave. We'll let her have a couple days. Oh, thank you. We'll let her know. We just knew that our older, mature clients were going through a lot of stuff. You know, when it comes time maybe to sell your last home or make a big move, there's a lot to it. It's very emotional for most everybody. Some people, they're like, oh, no big deal. I just threw that away. It's a big deal for most of us to let go of stuff that's precious to us and to look through every memory in our home. Randy and I did that a little over a year ago, had a health scare. And I know not to wait for 7 red flags because the statistics say 7 red flags before maybe an adult kid will come to the rescue of a senior. Because seniors that don't take care of their own mature life tasks end up needing to be rescued. And it takes good kids, sweet kids. Did any of you raise some nice kids? You don't know. Don't put your hands up. Did any of you raise some kids that maybe aren't so nice? Okay. All right. The good kids wait for 7 terrible things to happen before they finally say, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And so that's why we're here to help you take charge and to stay independent. I don't have slides today, but I think we'll have some slides when Todd comes up. But it's time to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Isn't our world kind of crazy? But we still won the lottery by being in the United States. No matter what you think about what's going on, we won the lottery living in this country. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would like to appreciate the veterans in the room that would like to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. They became heroes the day they signed that paper and put it all on the line for all of us. And if you'd like to stand, you're welcome to stand with us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with legacy.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thanks, everybody. I want to appreciate not only my husband, Randy, but also Bretta in the back of the room. She gets here early and makes sure the flag is here, and the podium is here, the mics are on, and she does all the troubleshooting in the back room. She's amazing. Our videographers, Alexander, Video Productions, Delno Eby, probably the best working actor in Wichita, Kansas, makes a living in acting, and he takes photos. He's been taking photos of our family for 15 years. Jason Bach and Fleece and Gooing Law Firm, they've been in business for over 100 years. What year was it established? Do you remember?
I do.
1889. Think there's some credibility there. And then he brings the coffee too. And let me tell you, that man knows a thing or two about how to celebrate your independence and stay independent and look out for family issues down the line. So we definitely want you to participate in the conversation today. Whew. All right. We have Dr. Ray Rogers, my personal doctor, functional medicine. And she's helped me lose over 40 pounds and just feel a lot better. Do I look different than I looked in 2019? Yeah, I feel better too. And Todd Allstott, who you might have saw on TV this week. So we're going to hear from him. We have Oxford Senior Living. They rescued the Kansas Masonic home. You know, we helped move everybody out of there. The seniors that lived at the Kansas Masonic home got told at Thanksgiving they had to be out by New Year's. Can you imagine? And our nonprofit was the only company allowed to go into that building, and we helped get everybody moved. And I'm so grateful that the owner of Oxford Senior Living was able to purchase that property and bring it back to life. And then they have a lot of other phenomenal properties, and those are people to know. What we want for you is that you're empowered in such a way that you know you can phone a friend for anything that you need, and these are your friends that you can call. And I said on television with Todd Tuesday that if you know one of us, you know us all, because all you have to do is call one of us, and we'll know who should be called next. And so we're the resource to the resources. And I started to tell you this all came from real estate. But now I've thrown my whole heart and soul into this. I decided in 2018 I'd dedicate the rest of my life serving seniors. I thought for real estate and downsize moves. And that's very important because that's a big part of being empowered. But everything else I've been learning along the way has been absolutely life-changing. I wouldn't have met Dr. Ray. I wouldn't have met Jason. I wouldn't have met a lot of the wonderful people in this world if I didn't throw my whole heart into this. And it's greatly needed. And that's why I would love for you to thank Cake and PBS for having us on. Maybe call Channel 12 and Channel 3 and suggest that they have us on there as well. Because we can fit at least 300 people in this room, and we have before. And I saw something recently, like maybe we can even get more than 300 in here. So we need to let people know what the resources are, because, you know, most people just sit and wait. Who wants to stay in the current home that they're in right now and never move? Okay. I'm not the best at math, but I'm guessing maybe we got close to the statistic of 84% of older, mature homeowners. It's a priority for them to age in place as long as they can. And so I think that would prove true in this room and any other gathering. You have to have a plan for that. And at least 2/3 don't make a plan to stay in that home. Yeah, we hope to stay in the home, but hope isn't a plan. Most people are waiting, and sometimes they'll even say, we don't know what we're waiting for. Unfortunately, I do. And some of you that have been coming for a while know. What are they waiting for? They don't know it. They know they're waiting for something, but they don't know what it is. What are they waiting for?
A
life event. Illness.
magnet.
A diagnosis. a death, an accident. They're waiting for a flashpoint that forces them to do something. And unfortunately, for the adult kids and other allies in your life, it forces them into chaos. And so I can tell you, the ladies at Oxford, we haven't talked about this, but I'm just guessing that you've had many meetings when you're alone in a room with an adult child that's hysterical. And they're saying, I don't know what to do. I don't understand any of this. I wasn't prepared. Does that sound like some of the things that you've had people say? Any thoughts, any words you can share?
The people.
You know, a lot of them will say, you know, some do move and say, I want to move before something major happens, before I have to move. But then some people will stay home as long as they can because, you know, that's what you want to do and what people want to do. But they may have a fall and then they're told they can't go back home. So that's when you get kind of the hysterical, we have to find placement. They have to be out of the hospital or the rehab, and we need placement like in the next couple days. So yes, definitely, you know, we do deal with that a lot. Is there anything you guys want to add?
So a big misconception of independent living, or also called retirement communities, people don't want to lose their independence. They feel that they're giving up so much. Well, that's partly true. You're giving up stress, responsibility, things that are weighing on you and holding you down in ways that you don't realize. So coming to a community, you know, we take care of all those things. And so you can use your time to enjoy the things you want to do, walk the Botanica Garden, spend time with grandkids, you know, and not be so bogged down so you can thrive for longer.
Dying.
Well, I deal with just memory care now because I'm at Glencar House. So the only thing that I would say is to have a plan even when you don't think you need one, because then when you do get in those crisis situations, it's harder to make decisions. You can't think straight. So just having a plan in place even when you don't think you need one is important.
Who's planning on dementia? Did anybody sign up for Alzheimer's? How about a stroke? Anybody planning a stroke on your bucket list? Unfortunately, these things catch us off guard, but there are things that we can do for our physical body and our cognitive body to keep our independence. So we'll have Dr. Ray come up and talk a little bit about that too. And also, your house was designed, unless you've modified it, and I mean really modified it, your house was designed for a young adult starting off in life and maybe having children, and for that young adult to never age. That's what your house was designed for. And it probably wasn't even designed that great for them. And today we know about universal design, which is design that's good for all ages. And the National Association of Home Builders even has been teaching a class for a long time called Certified Aging in Place Specialist. But the builders and the contractors haven't been taking it, not very many of them. I'm surprised they still offer that class. Guess who showed up to take that class? Well, of course, I did. But it was still around for me because occupational therapist took that class. And so you'll want to evaluate the home that you're in to make sure that it's as safe as possible, because one fall, as she mentioned, can change it all. One fall can change it all. And sometimes people love their area rugs.
Yeah, but
Love them. Love throw rugs of all kinds. Those are tripping hazards. And aging in place starts at, pop quiz, anybody know When does aging in place start? 40. Who said that? Woohoo! 40 years of age. That's when you need to start being a little more careful about climbing on ladders. And I thought, as a realtor, my husband did too, was a great selling point to install where the attic thing is and put one of those fancy pull-down ladders. Wasn't that a great idea? Wrong. Bad idea. And his parents in their late 80s were still trying to take stuff up there. And sometimes people get so far along in their fragile years that they're no longer thinking about their future self, and it's more about autonomy and staying in control and being independent and doing things the way I've always done it. That no longer even thinking like that's not a good idea. And that probably there's room in a lot of our homes here in Kansas, room for the stuff that's up there to be on the main floor. But also to start rethinking how much stuff we have. Too much. Most people don't realize how much they have. And starting to minimize now will be very much appreciated by your good children, because they might be worried that is their future to-do list. And I'm a big believer, and that's not very nice, because your kids aren't spring chickens either. And your kids have their own marital issues or dating issues, cancer diagnosis, other issues, right? Do your kids have some problems? Some of you are taking care of kids because that's how big their problems are. So I'm a big believer in taking accountability and taking care of our own mature life tasks, because that's going to be good for you. You're going to feel good about doing it. And it takes so much pressure off you because it's been done. But I hear a lot of people say, I'm not going to worry about that because my son is going to take care of that. Or if she passes away, I'm going to move in with my daughter. Does your daughter know that? Does she like that idea? So these are conversations we need to have with our family, and ideally with an estate planning attorney, so that people are on the same page. Because when it hits the fan, people get a little bit wacky. If you think your family is wacky now, just wait till they're making life or death decisions, or they're making decisions after a death. Have anyone in this room ever hear of somebody somewhere having big drama and a big to-do after someone died? Or is that just our family? Like people that never talk to each other again. Somebody that pulls up with a U-Haul and empties out the house while everybody's still at the hospital. Like crazy stuff. And you can avoid that stuff by talking to Jason. And I always say having a younger attorney is a good idea, because if you end up with dementia and your doctor does too, or your attorney does too, like how much are they going to be able to help you? Like you need to have a team. Aging is a team sport. That's probably the biggest thing I've learned by going all in on this. Aging is a team sport. And the sooner you believe it, the better your outcome will be. And if you want this to be a championship season of your life, you want to have your team put together. And that includes family and friends. That includes your medical team, your legal team, your financial team, especially if you don't have a lot of money. Because see, the wealthy people, they have financial planners. But if there's a chance you might run out of money, you really need to meet with a financial planner and with an estate attorney. If you're putting that off because you're afraid it's going to cost you money, it's going to cost you a lot more money when things are screwed up. Because again, when it hits the fan, that's when you find out where your gaps are. So we want to get our team together and have a plan and have a team that knows how to play the game. A team that's prepared and not in chaos and fighting with each other. So that's what today's about, is being in control of our whole life all the way through our final sunset, as Sam Craddock told us, and to really enjoy life the best we can. And of course, I'm speaking to the choir because you all are here, so you must be go-go's, most of you, go-go seniors. But there could be a day where some become more slow go and pick and choose what they're going to go to, and then people that are no-go. The worst time to be giving your family instructions is when you are in a hospital bed and you look so shockingly frail and tiny to them, and they can't even believe what's happening to their mom or their dad. That's the worst time to be putting a plan together. So I know a lot of people will say, I'm okay now. I know I need to do these, but I'm good now. I'm not ready yet. If those words come out of your mouth, I'm not ready yet, I want you to tell yourself this. When you say, I'm not ready yet, it's already past time. And you're going to feel better when you gather the information and you have the one-on-one meetings. And that's why we work so hard to get people here and get you introduced to local people that can help you and people that are qualified to help. For example, this always makes somebody mad. I can't help it. There are people that could take a class with the state and help you pick out your Medicare insurance. Okay? Volunteer, free. I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should go to someone that has a license, and it's what they do every day. Seriously. Okay. And let's just talk about licenses for a while. How about a cash investor? We buy ugly houses. Or people that would approach someone at a hospice company and say, when someone needs to sell a house in a hurry, we can make it easy. Oh, doesn't that sound nice? Just make it easy. We can have your cash for you on Wednesday. What do you think they're up to? Do you think they have a license with the state of Kansas? Probably not. They probably thought about having a license and decided not to get one. That is not what you want to do. You want to make sure you get competing bids on your house and that you get the best price, unless you don't care about money. If you don't think you're going to need money, doesn't matter. But otherwise, make sure someone who's licensed and experienced is helping you. And we can be the easy button too, but also be on the line with our license and our association with the National Association of Realtors, standards of practice and ethics and that to make sure you get the right price. How about choosing senior living? If your daughter does not work in senior living, she might not be the best person to find the right place. Getting a professional to help you is very important so that you can compare all the different options. And I do want to come back to what Des was saying. Des said that it's sometimes counterintuitive that people feel like when they move to independent living, they're giving away independence because it's something new and you're moving out of a house that you really didn't want to move out of. But the thing is, you get a lot more independence at some point by going into a situation like that. Because when you stay in your happy place as you get older and you enter your fragile years, which for a lot of people is around mid-80s, but everyone ages different. When you stay in your happy place, your safe place all the time, your brain just kind of goes on comfort mode. And it can cause more decline, more memory loss, and potential just to go downhill faster. And by moving into independent living, what a lot of people experience, or maybe a multi-generational family home, whatever it might be, but really think about where you might want to go. But if you can be around cohorts, people that brought up their family, had careers the same time you did, having cohorts in your life is really important, and having that socialization, even if you think you don't like people. Anybody want to admit in here that you don't like people? Okay. I know there's more than 3. But that's good stress. If you have dinner with people that you don't necessarily like, you still might have a laugh or two, but that stress is kind of good for you. Plus, how many have known maybe a widow that started staying home a lot that was eating maybe a saltine cracker for a meal, or maybe an occasional can of soup? Like not much of nothing. And what do you think that does for your body? Does a saltine cracker do a body good? No, I think we could use some protein and some other stuff, right? And so nutrition is even more important for older, mature adults than it is for children. It's very important for your physical and your cognitive. So what you eat, what's on your plate is so important. And then also movement. How about those lazy boys? They're so nice. What firemen will tell you, when they respond to a home, when someone's in their fragile years, sometimes they'll find them sitting in their chair. They get out of bed, they sit in their chair. And then later, at the end of the day, they get out of their chair and they go to bed. Maybe they have a couple bathroom breaks, but probably as few as possible. And they might not even drink much water because they're trying to go as infrequently as possible. But they'll end up sitting in their chair all day long, and then they build up their command center. They have their remote, and it used to be a TV guide. What would it be now? But like all the stuff, it's all around them. They got their snacks and their coffee, and everything is right there so they don't have to move. But motion is lotion, and the more we move, the better. Once people start sitting all the time, it doesn't take long. All right. So Todd, did you get your slides going? Okay, we're not going to have slides. Darn it, I'm sorry about that. But come on up, let's visit. And I don't have my camera, watch, anything, so help keep me on track because I want to make sure that we get through everything. Todd Allstott, he is on the board of directors with the Wichita Medical Research and Education Foundation, and he has forms from their foundation for people that maybe haven't met with Jason yet, and there's some forms he's going to tell you about that you can get for free to get started. And again, we really would like for you to meet with an attorney and get things done properly. But otherwise, at least having these forms could make a big difference.
I go ahead and go through my PowerPoint.
Yeah, at least it'll.
Okay. I've been a nurse for 35 years, and currently I work for a hospice company. And so advanced directives, things like that are something that we deal with every day. I also had case managed in a long-term acute care hospital. If those of you who in the area are familiar with Select Specialty Hospital, I've been a case manager with them very long, and the advanced directives are very, very important. I mean, no matter where you are in life, whether you are 18 years of age or whether you are 80. And so that's kind of why I want to present on that. I'm also on the board with the Wichita Medical Research Education Foundation. And this is one of the things that they are behind. It's one of the things they also make available. All of these documents are going to be available at the table that I have set up. Sorry, since I don't have my PowerPoint up so you guys can see it, I'm going to just kind of go through things with this. Why do we need advanced directives? If you think about it, who is going to make healthcare decisions when we can't? What kind of decisions have to be made about healthcare in the last years, months, days, weeks, minutes of our lives. If you can't speak for yourself, healthcare professionals have to rely on someone who can for you. Some different things in the past 50 years that have made changes with advanced directives, because it used to be when you went downhill, you went downhill. But in the past 50 years, we've seen changes with cardiac medications that lower cholesterol, cancer therapies, advances in medical technology such as a CPAP machine, ICU care, pacemakers, bypass surgeries. We also have issues and challenges with some of the end-of-life questions and things that we have for life-sustaining treatment, such as dialysis. Before dialysis was available and has become more successful, people did not last very long when they were in stage renal disease. CPR, which is resuscitating the heart. Medically assisted nutrition and hydration, that's someone having a G-tube or IV nutritional therapy. When they are unable to swallow, when they are unable to eat, or for some reason when their gut is unable to process food and you need to have a different source for your nutrition. A ventilating respirator, antibiotic therapy. Antibiotic therapy has come a long way, and people who had gotten sick from infections and things like that, a long time ago, we had only things like penicillin and maybe a few others. Now we've got multiple different antibiotics that are available that help and are very specific to different infections and things that we have. End-of-life care issues and challenges. CPR, one of the things that we need to think about then is do we want to have CPR done if our heart stops? And I'll go through that a little bit more as we go through the DNR, but it's like one of those things where you look at is once you go ahead and you start CPR on someone whose heart has stopped, is it really, if they're like going through extensive cancer treatment or other things like this, is that something that we are going to look at and consider, is my quality of life still there? That's just things for you to think about, things for you to discuss with your physician, with your family. Some other serious illnesses that we face as we get older are COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Another one along that line is congestive heart failure, which sometimes makes it hard to breathe, but it also makes it harder for the heart to beat as well. I mentioned end-stage renal disease, other terminal illnesses, Alzheimer's, dementia, coronary artery diseases, strokes. How do you want to be treated when you are sick? You need to kind of think about the important decisions for you ahead of time. These are things that you want to be discussing with your physician, with your family. You always want to make sure that your needs and your wishes are known. So some of the first things that you want to do is you want to create an advance directive. An advance directive helps you through the durable power of attorney of healthcare decisions. That helps you identify the person who's going to be helping make those decisions when you are unable to, when you cannot speak for yourself. And as I go back, I'm a very firm believer in age 18 to however, it's very, very important because you never know what tomorrow brings for any one of us. And once you're over the age of 18, many hospitals are not going to recognize your parents as your decision maker. And in some cases, even a next of kin, wife, sometimes it's not even recognized in the hospital either without proper documentation for that. But another thing with that too is that when you have your durable power of attorney, the decision there is you have hopefully discussed with the person who's going to be making the decisions so they know what your wishes are. And that may not be a mother, that may not be a father, that may not be a spouse. They may not agree with what your choices are for, what your healthcare decision is when you are unable to speak for yourself. But you need to have the person who does understand that and is going to follow through with your wishes. That's why you have made them and appointed them as your healthcare agent. There are, like I said, with the advance directive, there's also a living will. And on my PowerPoint, I actually have the documents to show you, but I'll show you the papers that I do have with me. Like I said, they're over there. They're available for you at any time. The living will actually lines out, and that is part of the Kansas Natural Death Act. And that is, if you so decide that you don't want to have any, let me see how it's actually stated on here. life-sustaining procedures utilized or applied. And specifically, a lot of times we're thinking about a ventilator. We're thinking about artificial nutrition through having a G-tube or some sort of enteral tube that actually goes through your mouth, through your nose, through your stomach. However, has been placed to give you nutrition when you cannot swallow or you cannot eat on your own. IVs are also considered along the line of life-sustaining. So with a living will, that's a declaration that you have, and it is legal once it has been notarized or it has been witnessed by two people. All of these documents that I have are also available on the website for the Wichita Medical Research Education Foundation. I do have a business card that lists that website directly on there, so those are available if you ever want to go to the website and look up and find these forms.
And again, this is about you staying in control. And you only get to be in control if you take control and you put all these measures in place. Who has all their essential documents done? Whoa. All right. Maybe we can just skip on to the next thing. I don't know. Just kidding.
Well, statistics are saying that 20 out of 30 people do have them.
20 out of 30 people do have them. That's really good. That sounds like it's improved over time.
But are they current?
But are they current?
That's one thing you want to make sure is that they are kept up to date. I mean, there's other things that's not on the living will, but some things to keep in mind are when you're having these conversations with your family specifically, not necessarily with your physician, does your family know your wishes? Do they know your funeral plans? Do they know, what funeral home you are planning on using? If you already have something established, do they know how your service is going to be? Or if you're going to have a celebration of life, whatever your wishes are. Does your family know that? Have you documented what your wishes are? So those are things just to keep in mind. Like I said, it's not part of a living will, but it's things to keep in mind to make sure that family knows what your wishes are.
Because if they like you, they're going to buy everything. They're going to get the doves and the glitter, everything. So tell them what you want money spent on and what you don't.
Sorry, I'm like I said, just I have the slide up there to show you. The other thing that I'm talking about too is the TPOP form. Who in here has heard of TPOP?
TPOP. T-P-O-P-P. T-P-O-P-P.
TPOP stands for Transportable Physician Orders for Patient Preferences. This goes one step further than an advance directive because it is actually a physician order and it is signed by your physician. TPOP, the name of it, is used currently in Kansas and Missouri. Missouri is actually, there have been some laws that have changed recently in Missouri. They are revising their portion of it. I don't know if it still will be a Kansas-Missouri TPOP or if we will go individual. I don't know the answers. Do you know? Okay. So that is that is currently in the works. The document that I have is still valid. It is recognized by our local hospitals. It started in Sedgwick County in 2014. First responders recognize it. Home health recognizes it. Hospices recognize it. The benefits of it, it puts the patient's wishes in writing. It validates discussions that have been had with families, with your durable power of attorney, and of course your physician, because your physician is the one who is writing the orders for this. It is transportable from home, EMS, hospital, and long-term care settings, as well as other settings similar to that. I did look up some information on that. In other states, it is called, and I will tell you some of the different names that it goes by. In Kansas, it is TPOP. It is known more nationally as POLST, which is Physician Orders for Life-Sustaining Treatment. There are some states that refer to it as MOST, which is Medical Orders for Scope of Treatment. And there's a couple others that go by POST, which is Physician Orders of Scope of Treatment. So there's different names for it. And when I looked up to see, it is depending upon the states who are involved, because not every state in the United States does have this. But other states who do have something similar, most of them will recognize it. Not all. It's kind of on a state-by-state basis on whether they do recognize another state's form of this document. Be prepared for serious illnesses or challenges. Be prepared to talk with your wishes for your end of life with your doctors, your family, your durable power of attorney. It's important to make sure that you are having the talk. Family members of older adults with serious illness are more confident that they know the medical wishes of their family members when there are written documents. Family is twice as likely to say they know what parents want than those without a document. And I will tell you that although sometimes you have an advance directive, the TPOP or the POLST is very, very important because that is an order written by a physician working in the hospital. I have seen some family members fight and override an advance directive of a loved one who's in the hospital because they didn't agree with it. So the TPOP is already there, but there are ethics boards that actually look at these, and they already are determining that the person, when they were able to make the decisions with their physician, were able to make the decision that they wanted to have happen, whether that's what the family wanted or not.
By getting this done, you're not saying, okay, I'm preparing to die, because the 18-year-olds in your family need this too.
It's having your ducks in a row.
It's having your ducks in a row.
Does it be not? That's why most our steps they make. We mix today.
Yes, because if EMS shows up at your house, you need to have that right there so they can see it. Because once they see it and it's signed by a physician, they're going to recognize it. If it's not in the house and available, they're going to act however the emergency situation requires.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can put these on the fridge. We have the last remaining in this city because they are in way back order with the charity called File of Life. And so Catholic Charities Adult Day Center, which is really a cool place, they brought these to us. They were so happy, Todd, that we mentioned it on the air. And so they brought us the last ones that they had. So you can get your forms that you have done with your attorney, these forms if you're going with that, but your emergency contacts, your list of medications, all that stuff up to date and in the folder so the first responders can grab it.
And just to kind of reiterate what I do have over there available as far as forms, I have the Living Will Declaration. The ones that the forms that I have are very, very basic. If you want to get very specific, you need to be with your attorney.
Yeah.
Like Catherine was saying, that is the one way that you can make sure that it is absolutely specific down to the absolute letter of what you want. These are very basic. They are forms that were established within the state of Kansas for at least for the Living Will, because it's the Kansas Natural Death Act. I do have, this is a form for state of Kansas as well, the Do Not Resuscitate Directive. It is not effective unless a physician signs it. So this is something that if you want, discuss with your physician, take the form with them, or ask your physician for the form if you don't have one, and then your physician can go ahead and sign that. All of these documents can be changed at any time. A DNR can be revoked if you decide to change your mind that you don't want to have that. And I would just want to also bring up, because I was questioned this, actually, after being on Cake with Catherine, someone said, well, what about a tattoo that says DNR?
What else could that stand for? I bet we could think of some good things.
Some people thought it was a good idea, but it is not legally binding.
Okay.
Because the thing is that's why you have a document like this, because you can change your mind. What happens if you change your mind before you go back to a tattoo artist to have a big old heart go over that DNR?
Yeah, I'll say, never mind, tattoo.
So
I think we have a question for you.
Does it have to be the original signed copy, or can it be a photocopy? Or
I know with durable power of attorney for healthcare, they will accept copies. DNRs, they usually like to see the original. But if you have a copy, it's signed. And like I said, if you change your mind on things, the most recent signed advance directive document is the effective one. So always make sure that you have that, whether it's a copy of that or whether it's the original document. But I've got the durable power of attorney for healthcare decisions. I will make sure that you understand this is not a durable power of attorney for someone to say that they can sell your house.
Okay.
This is only for healthcare decisions. This is not someone who's going to make decisions about your bank account, or anything along that line, anything that is non-medical.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Shh.
And then I have the TPOP form that we discussed. And then the other one is Serious Illness Conversation Guide. And if at any time you need to talk with your physician about if you've been had a diagnosis that is serious, is terminal, or that is chronic, what they call chronic, which is something that is ongoing, this helps you guide and have that conversation with your doctor. So
Okay.
that's also available over there as
Yep.
well.
Yes. You could put any essential documents in this. Yep.
I didn't.
Does the physician need to sign the TPOP?
That's the only way it's effective. The TPOP is a physician's order.
A physician's order.
So a physician must sign it. It is invalid without a physician's signature.
And you're safe.
Now, the other document, like the advance directive, if you have 2 witnesses or if you have it notarized, it is effective and you do not have to have a physician order for that.
That
Yes, in the state of Kansas, the documents that I have are effective in any healthcare facility.
Okay, great.
mental wishes.
So the question is, even if they were signed by your personal physician and they go against the nursing home's physician's wishes.
It's you or the patient who actually has a determination on what your choice is.
Even if the patient is unable to make that determination.
If there's a durable power of attorney, then that in place, then they should be going by what the durable power of attorney says, because that is the healthcare proxy that they have assigned, and that's why they did that. They have a trusted person.
I say this because my mom was in a nursing home and she had chronic kidney infections or UTIs. And it got to the point where the nursing home physician refused to order antibiotics. And they said, well, she has dementia and she doesn't really know what's going on. And my sister and I had guardianship, and we said, a UTI is painful. She is in pain. You can tell by her actions, even though she can't express that. Treat her for the UTI. And they hem-hawed around, and finally they did treat her, but they did not want to because she had dementia. And yes, it was several months before she passed, but, the doctor just wanted to.
That's why these forms are so important, and to have an advocate. It's making me really nervous to be giving legal advice. We're not really giving legal advice with the attorney back here. So we're going to have a dance break in just a minute, Todd. I'm going to give you a chance to go through your material and then stay up there for dance break. Don't you leave.
I'm not dancing.
We're going to do our little dance break because motion is lotion. And then I would love, Jason, if you can, to come up, and also Dr. Rogers, and they'll help with these questions as well. Todd, did you get through everything?
I did.
Okay, thank you. Could you guys give Todd a round of applause? Thank you. All right, you can go to the bathroom if you need to, but we would encourage you to book.
All right, everybody up. We're going to do a little surfing, and then we're going to take Catherine's Macarena challenge that she gave me today. So Everybody stand up. Let's get that blood flowing. Come on, get on that surfboard. Here we go. Lean it forward and backwards. Come on. Get moving. This is good for balance and core.
That's all right.
Don't forget, switch the other side. Let's go. We got to be even. Do I got any surfers in here? Anybody ever went surfing? It's still on my bucket list. I'm running out of time. I know. I'll get there. All right, here we go. Tap forward. Can you cross it? Cross. Yes. Get ready. Here comes those waves. It's summer. Does everybody realize it's summer outside? Let's go. It's a little warm. Just a little warm. Remember, any type of movement is good movement. Helps us stay where we want to stay longer. Woo! And switch the other side. And do the swim. What's everybody swim? Swim however you want. All the way down, I don't care. How about the backstroke? Oh, stretch those shoulders.
Yeah. That's Siren USA.
Back to the toe tap.
Serious.
Everybody touch the
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to change it up now. How many people know the Macarena? Okay, so if you don't know it, you're going to learn it. So we're going to start by teaching it slow in pieces, and then we'll get to the beat, okay? So it's all about, remember, right, left, right, left.
And why is this a good one? First of all, because we're celebrating our independence for life, and
yes, and the way whenever we do crossovers, it's always working our brain. So it's right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Just keep thinking right, left. All right, that's it. All right, so it's forward. And then we're going to turn it just a little bit to the side, all right? Now we're going to speed it up. Y'all ready? Here we go. Right. Yeah. Go, right. And turn. Here we go. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. Shake those hips. Yeah, yeah. Right. Let's go. You got it. Shake it there. Right, left, one, left, to be starting now. Don't worry, nobody's watching you if you're messing up. They're watching us. Here we go. Right. Only 3 minutes, believe it or not. I checked it. And let's go. Here we go. Right. Experts here. All that. Shake those hips out. Yes. Last one. Come on, let's do the last one. One more turn. Shake those hips. Last time. Here we go. Right. Right. All right, everybody give yourself a round of applause. Woo! Remember, any type of movement is important movement.
that gets your brain going, wakes you up, circulates that blood. These are all very essential to aging well. If we could have Jason Bach and Dr. Ray come up to the front, that would be fantastic. Rebecca, while they're coming up, Rebecca owns Club Hope.
Oh, sweet. Here.
So, Rebecca, what can you tell us about it's never too late to start exercising?
Yes, so I want everybody to know, no matter where you are in life, no matter what limitations you may have, that everybody can move. And we will tell you that we'll meet you on the couch and go from there. You would be surprised. A lot of people don't want to think about working out or exercising because it's scary and you know the big gyms. Out of breath. Club Hope is not like that. It's small, it's individual, and it's personalized. And we're getting ready to kind of launch something called Club Hope on the Go, where we will actually come to certain people who can't get out of their house, that will help them to reach the things on the cabinets, that may be able to get something off of the floor, or to try to eliminate the fear of falling and not being able to get up. 2 times a week, little movements, 10 minutes on, will make a difference. I promise you. It's not that hard to get started moving, so let us help you do that.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. If we can borrow Dr. Ray, paging Dr. Ray. Is there a doctor in the house? The attorney's ready, and you know what they charge by the hour.
Ignorance. Yeah.
Ray, can you come up? All right. Isn't that awesome that we have an attorney here and like really top-notch attorney here so we can ask questions of him? And then Dr. Ray.
That's it.
Okay. All right. So we are short a mic today, so I'll have you two share back and forth. Who has questions? Okay, here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
One more time for good measure. 1, 2, 3. Shh. Okay. Questions for Dr. Ray Rogers or Jason Bach with Fleece and Gooing. This is a great time. And if you're thinking about a question, somebody's thinking about the exact same thing, or it'll help them make a connection that they might really need. So you're helping everyone when you ask a question.
What is your risk if you've had a fractured sternum and you need CPR?
Ooh, what's your risk if you had a fractured sternum and you need CPR to get that heart going?
Well, your risk is going to be higher than other people because you're going to run the risk of them re-injuring. And especially as you're older, depending on the stability of your bones. So that's where it becomes important to give your body the nutrients that it needs to increase the strength of your bones. But what most people don't realize is if you lose muscle, you lose bone. The integrity of your bone is tied to the muscle, but everybody goes straight to bone and calcium, magnesium, and all that. But there's a deeper thing going on by the time you get to that decreased mineralization of your bone.
Okay.
So again, it comes down to find the why. Stop looking at the what. There's a reason for it. Find the why.
So, and what she means by that, find the why. If you weren't born with it, why is it happening now?
Correct. It's a progression. And I would tell you, most people, the body is so smart and everything is so interconnected. I'm an OBGYN by trade initially, and you have cardiologists, you have orthopedic surgeons, you have neurologists, but the body is not like that. The body is all one and it's interconnected, and you have to connect the dots. And most people don't know where to start. I mean, I didn't know where to start initially and all that. But what you do is, what if you knew that you had a test? What if you had a test or a way to find out why you were moody, why you had brain fog, why you had poor weight loss, or you're stagnant, poor sleep, no energy? What if you had a test that could tell you why you're feeling that way? And it's a simple urine test, and it would just tell you why your cells, where they are, and what you're doing, and why you're doing what you're doing before any disease came up. This test would tell you what's going on in your cells before you show up as a diabetic or heart disease or cancer or dementia.
Who's married to somebody really grumpy and you'd like to do a urine test on them?
Well, that test exists. That's just a nice screening test. If you just want to find out overall what's going on in your cells, it's kind of like a metabolic blueprint for your body.
Okay, so explain what that means, metabolic and cellular optimization. Why is that important at the age we are right now?
So most people, your metabolism, you say, hey, I'm getting older, my metabolism is slower, so I can't lose the weight and all that. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to do with age. It has to do where the cell started making bad decisions and the cell went wrong. The cells in our body are very smart, but if you give it the substrates or the things that it needs. So when you eat, you're eating fat, right? You're eating glucose, you're eating proteins and all that. Well, you're eating to give your body energy, right? We get energy. Now we get hangry, right? So we're eating food to get energy. Well, each of those different macronutrients, we call them macronutrients, the three big categories: fatty acids, which is your fat, carbohydrates, which breaks down to glucose, and your proteins, which break down to amino acids. Those are your three big things that you're eating. Those things have to go into a specific cycle to give you energy, to crank out and give you energy, what we call ATP. That's what you're trying to do. And if you can efficiently make energy, you will not be fatigued, you'll keep your weight down, and everything is very, very good. However, if you have a block in any of those different pathways, you will not be able to make energy. You will gain weight, you'll get fat, and you'll be fatigued. And in addition to that, your body will start utilizing pathways that do not utilize oxygen. So that's another hit. So you get really, really fatigued. You're going to have to sleep 2 or 3 times a day. You can't get the weight off. Can't figure what's going on. Like somebody else said, hey, I'm taking that shot and I'm not losing anything. Well, there's some breaks in your pathways that are there. And again, these tests will tell you, simple urine tests will tell you why you cannot lose weight or why you cannot get energy or where your block is. And it's as simple as taking supplements, but you want to know what you're taking and why. So that's why it's important to test and not guess. So organic acid profile test. It is a functional medicine test. So if you go to your internist and you tell him that, he's not going to know what you're talking about.
And what's the name of the test again, please?
It's an organic acid profile test.
Organic acid profile test.
It's going to tell you 72 different analytes just off of urine.
How many?
72.
72.
It's going to tell you about your metabolism, your mitochondria, which are your powerhouse cells. That's the cells how you get your energy. It's going to tell you are they functioning? Are they damaged? Are you inflamed? Do you have insulin resistance? Can't you make energy? Do you have catabolic physiology, meaning are you breaking down everything because you're stressed? Or do you have oxidative stress? Oxidative stress is that apple that's cut in half that looks brown. That's oxidation. You don't want that happening to your cells. It damages your mitochondria, your powerhouse cells. And so that's what that tells you on one section, metabolism. This other section tells you about nutrition. Are you making all your B vitamins, B1, B2, B3, B5, B6? It tells you everything. It also tells you about, do you have toxins? Does your body have toxins? What do you have damage to your mitochondria? Also tells you about your neurotransmitters, what's going on in your brain. And it tells you about if the brain is inflamed. It also tells you about what's going on in your GI system, in your gut. And if you're inflamed in the brain, where is it coming from? Is it coming from the gut or is it coming from toxins? It gives you a plethora of information. What's your glutathione status? Can you put out the free radicals that your system is making? Those free radicals are what you're making just by enzymatic processes and all that, and those are damaging. And that's why you take those antioxidants to neutralize them. But if you're making more free radicals than you have antioxidants, then you're damaging your cells. So this is the balance that we want. And everybody is going to be different. Just because you work out, some people work out too much. They have too much oxidative stress. So you have to find your balance. But the test is nice because it's going to be personalized to you.
Would that test be covered by Medicare is a question back here?
No.
It won't be.
Functional medicine tests are not going to be covered by any insurance. because insurance is going to cover treatment for what you have. They're not going to cover treatment for why you have it or to reverse it.
So insurance covers you when you are sick and when you need specific medications or treatments. But this is about feeling better and trying to avoid getting sick, which is something I'm really working on with Dr. Ray, is increasing my immunity. And so is Randy. We're working on a lot of things. And it's only going to be a doctor that doesn't take insurance that's going to help you with this. Because that's the first question we always get. Is it covered by my insurance? No, thank God. Because now you're going to learn something.
Catherine, I have a question for Dr. Rogers. What's your understanding of the interplay between sleep and metabolic health? And are there any tips or best practices when it comes to sleep, the amount of sleep, the consistency of sleep, or anything of that nature?
Sleep is huge. Sleep is one of the things that people tend to overlook from the importance standpoint that it has. And sleep is actually, if you can't lose weight, a lot of times that's tied to sleep. Your brain, if it's kind of confused and all that, tied to sleep. When you're asleep and you go through the correct stages of sleep, anywhere from 5 to 7 hours a night, and there's sleep hygiene that you can do to help. When you're asleep, your body is repairing, your brain repairs. So you have things I don't know if you've heard of lymphatics in your system, the lymphatic system, but you also have glymphatics in the brain. So when you go to sleep, this is the time for the brain to reprocess everything that went on that day and to remove all the toxins so that they're not building up. There is a reason why most heart attacks occur at first thing in the morning.
Okay, so that rinses your brain. The sleep does the rinsing of the brain, so it's really important. And you mentioned sleep hygiene. That might not be what you think it means. What do you think sleep hygiene means? You have clean sheets? You took a shower? What does sleep hygiene mean?
I talk about sleep hygiene because a lot of people say, hey, I have a hard time falling asleep or I can't stay asleep. So sleep hygiene are different things that should be taking place at nighttime for your body to get ready to shut down. So number one, your cortisol level has to be down, and there's tests to see if that's what's happening or it's keeping you up. But things like you don't really want to have your TV on, your phone up on there because the different lights. You can have blue light that starts to shut down everything. You can put things over your eyes, but you do meditation or so. You want to calm your body down to prepare it for rest, because that's what this is. This is resting and all that. And so some people, when we talk about sleep hygiene, we're talking about a program or routine that helps their body reprogram to get ready for a good night's sleep.
Is there any case, do you think, for people sleeping better if the TV's on? Because some people will say, oh, I have to have the TV on.
No, you need to retrain yourself because your brain is not off. Your brain is taking in all of that. So you can't be repairing if you're not resting.
So your brain's still trying to
Your brain is still going on, and it's creating circuits and circuits and circuits. And you can pretty much recite the next day some of the things that you heard. So you weren't really resting.
Okay. And we want to make sure we answer some legal questions too.
2 questions. Will your regular doctor, can you ask them to order this test, and will they, and about what does it cost?
You could ask them, but they probably won't even know what you're talking about. I'm sorry?
Where do you go to get this test ran?
Of course, the Medical Innovative Solutions. No. So what we do is we offer complimentary mini consultations, and the way that we do that test is I order that test from Rupa Health. You pay Rupa Health for the test. I think that organic acid test runs about $180-something bucks, and then you pay us our consultation fee, which our formal consultation fee just for that test is about $350.
Yeah, so it does cost money, guys, but I can tell you it's worth it to get inflammation out of your body and to feel better and to sleep better. And some of you maybe have a budget for some things, or you've saved your life. This is what you were saving for, is for a time such as this.
And there's financing options. There's things like Cherry, Care Credit, Affirm. There's different things like that that are available also. And it depends on what all you're testing, because that's just one test. There's another test that's called a GI map. that tells you everything that's in your stool, and they're kind of all interconnected. So it just depends on what all we're looking for, and it really depends on what you're experiencing. So we can get a pretty good idea just on a mini consultation on what you're experiencing, what your goals are and all that. And we just kind of lay out that framework for you and give you options.
Mm-hmm. And so you are your best health coach, your best fitness coach. So you could hire Rebecca, you could get other fitness trainers, but you're the one that's coordinating your fitness schedule, right? Same thing with your medical, same thing with your legal. And so this is your team, this could be your team, and they're helping you figure out what's important so you can age the best way possible. And Dr. Ray's cards are over there, but her office is over by Wesley Hospital. But it would be a doctor like a functional medicine doctor. What other kind of doctors would be able to inform them on some of these things? That's about it. Yeah.
Functional medicine, holistic, everybody has different names. They're not all the same. So like I do functional medicine. I know some other people who do hormone optimization and they do functional medicine, but we kind of offer different things, different perspectives. I'm not sure of anybody else who's doing really, I know people who run GI maps, and I've seen their results, and I've had patients to come to me with their results from the GI map that was ran. And it was like, whoa, and they're really bad. But they were kind of dismissed like just under. So I'm not sure how well they're in detail reading.
Yeah, so there's
you really do have to study this. And the other thing I would tell you on the aging process, one of the big things, we know, as we age, cells are not going to be as efficient as they were. So we're going to be more inflamed and all that. But a lot of us, you don't even have to be older to experience that. It's the toxins, it's the food. Everything is not like it used to be. So the cells are taking a hit. But specifically, one thing that does happen as we get older is we lose muscle. And you have to remember that muscle is the currency of longevity. And there's reasons that we lose muscle as we age just because of the process and all these things. And these are things that we can actually do things about. And so one of the biggest things you can do is to preserve muscle, because when you lose muscle, you become what we call sarcopenic. You lose protein and all that too.
So and same thing with bone.
Yeah, well, if you lose muscle, you're going to lose bone.
Okay.
But most people don't know that. They're going after the bone densities and all that. And you can reverse those, but there's different things that you can do. There's machines that you guys can get on that will actually build your muscle. If you have an injury, if you have pain, if you have carpal tunnel, if you have plantar fasciitis, sciatica, there's a machine you can get on, and you'd be amazed at a 30-minute session on what it does at just 3 or 4 sessions. And outside of that, you have these machines that actually build muscle. And so it helps you to get a jump start, and then we can help you to teach you the other things that you can do to preserve your muscle and ways that you can inhibit what's going on in your body that, just because of the aging process.
Kind of like what we saw last month. We saw the brain spin thing that we don't have in Wichita yet, but she's got machines in her office that you've not seen before. And these are things that can really make a difference. So something to check out. All right, Jason, what kind of bad advice did we give this today?
No, I think it was
You were very nice and calm back there.
I think it was all great. I did want to touch on a couple things that come to mind, and our estate planning group at our firm has actually taken a closer look at our living will documents. And we've run into a lot of issues where individuals, while they're making those plans for end-of-life decisions, there's an aspect that's important to them that I think is often overlooked in estate planning and how these documents are set up, and that is organ donation. And so I've had a number of clients come recently who have expressed desires that that's very important to them. And I have drafted specific provisions in healthcare powers of attorney to make that clear to their agent that these are their wishes. And in fact, a healthcare power of attorney is generally ends at death, the power, for maybe obvious reasons. Financial power of attorney is the same way. At death, that power goes away. But for a healthcare power, there are limited circumstances in which the power continues after death, and that's for disposition of the body and funeral arrangements. And so I think it's important to include those in your healthcare power of attorney so that your agent, the person who's probably closest to your health and medical condition nearing the end of your life, they know that next step, because those are decisions that need to be made in the case of organ donation immediately, and funeral arrangements shortly thereafter. And so we've actually modified our living wills to include boxes where the clients can check whether or not they want to be an organ donor or not be an organ donor. Because the concern with the living will and the way that the statute reads, and I think it was mentioned earlier, is that your attending physician and then a second opinion from another physician who's examined you must determine that you have a terminal, incurable condition, and that even if life-saving measures are utilized, your death will still occur, and that all these will prolong the dying process. And so I have a conversation with lots of clients about that, and they have to think about it. We do all the fun stuff, the planning, who gets this, who gets that, and then we get to all right, well, we got one more thing we got to talk about. But one of the things that struck us was, we have somebody who wants to be an organ donor, but then they also do a living will. And they say, take me off the machines, withdraw those life-saving measures in the event that I am incurable, doctor certify, and that living will kicks in. Well, the problem is, and I've learned a lot about this just through my clients, is what needs to be done with your body if you want to make those organs viable for donation. And so we thought it was important to include in that living will that whether or not you want to be an organ donor, and that'll inform the doctors to not just remove the support, but understand that it's your intention, it's your desire in order to help fulfill your objective and goal of organ donation, to keep those machines going, not to necessarily save your life, but to help preserve your organs and accomplish that goal. So we've made some of those updates and changes, which I think are very important, and you don't see a lot, and it's certainly not in the statutory form. And I wanted to, it may have been touched on earlier as well, but I did want to mention one thing, because I almost 100% of the time, unless somebody's in the medical field, there's just a confusion between the DNR and the living will. And folks will come in and say, well, I have a DNR, or I don't want a DNR, so I don't want this document you're talking about. And it's just key to remember that a DNR is saying withhold life-saving measures when there are measures to be taken. So generally that's CPR. Even if you feel like you could save me, I don't want you to. And a living will is quite the opposite. That's when it's been determined that there's nothing they can do to bring you back or to save your life. And you want to pass, as the statute refers, naturally. And so those two distinctions are very important. The DNR is something that you're going to have a conversation with your doctor about, not your lawyer. And a living will is something that you should have a conversation with both your doctor and your lawyer.
Fantastic. Thank you for that clarification. All right, we're going to take 3 questions. Are you guys learning a few things today? Okay, was it worth your time? All right, we appreciate you being here. Okay, we got a question back here.
Okay, Jason, I'm a work in process. I got a lot of my ducks in a row, okay? How important is it to get that doctor signature, or you as an attorney to get in there on that will and all that paperwork that I've got done that says this is what I want done?
Well, it's part of the role of the attorney in that process. We serve various roles. You don't have to have there's nothing in the law that says if this will was not prepared by an attorney, it's invalid. Attorneys are advisors, counselors, advocates, and a will that you may have done yourself, there's certain formalities that need to be followed in terms of execution of it, whether it's notarized, 2 disinterested witnesses, And then there's also language in the will that while a will might be, should I say, adequate, but there are many things that can be included in wills that make the probate, because remember, a will, as opposed to a trust, still has to go through the probate process. Another somewhat misconception, a will does not avoid probate. And so we can include provisions in wills that make that probate process less onerous. And so really the worst situation in terms of, if you want to say the nightmares of probate, that I think a lot of people, these ideas are, in people's heads or maybe through experience, it's when people die without wills, because then there's a lot of hurdles and hoops you've got to jump through that probate process. And so sometimes I see wills, people bring their wills to me, they prepared them. I say, well, this will work. There's things that could be done better. But really, what I would advise anybody who tries to do their own will is then you ought to take it to an attorney to look it over closely. And most of the time, that attorney is going to view themselves as providing a valuable service in doing that and will probably charge you to do that. And so it's probably best, if you want the assurance and confidence that your documents are done right, is to just go to an attorney and have them done, and then you have that confidence that they're done right. I kind of compare it to a mechanic. I do auto mechanic work myself on some of my vehicles. My wife thinks I should be doing something more productive with my time, but I just can't get away from it. But it would be like me fixing my car up and not quite knowing whether I'm doing it right, and then taking it to the mechanic and say, hey, I just want you to look this over and see that I did everything right. It probably, most of the time, if you're not confident that you're doing things right, and then you should just probably go to the mechanic and just make sure it's done right, and then we don't have anything to worry about.
All right. We got two more. Here's one here.
I have a Kansas driver's license that has organ donor on it. Is that legally binding?
It is not legally binding. And I haven't dealt with that a lot, again, because when I have a client who wants organ donation, we include that specifically. It's my understanding, and I maybe should know that answer better, that is actually not legally binding. And I'm picking this up from a conversation I had with one of my law partners recently. And that was my understanding, is that that's not legally binding. That is simply to inform first responders of your wishes.
Okay. So, and maybe you can tell us more next month. All right. I said one more, but I did see two hands go up, so I'll get both of you. Okay.
Is it general practice that you charge by the hour for this, or is it a flat fee for each document?
Well, we do, firms do it differently. I hate the term when they say will package or trust package. I feel like we're selling some, product, and that's not really what we're doing. We do on an hourly basis, but we can give people estimates after a conversation with them. And I'm happy to talk with people. The meter's not running for a phone call or an initial meeting. I'm happy to do that. And once you sort of get sorted through what their situation is, then I can give a ballpark figure of what this is going to be, because particularly when people start utilizing trusts, that can get very complicated, and there's a lot of moving parts to that. And depending on somebody's situation, a trust has to be funded. And if you have different pieces of real estate and different assets that there's work that has to be done after the trust is put in place. So trusts are a little harder to give a range, really, but we don't do, to answer your question, we don't do flat fees, in part because in order to do that, we would kind of penalize the people that have real simple wills, because they would sort of be paying the average, and the ones who have more complicated wills and who are we're having multiple appointments and, revisions, and, some people are in, hey, this is what I want. I'd like this put in place. We discuss it. We work through the options. We get the documents drafted. We send some literature out so that they can better understand their documents. We maybe have a phone call, answer some questions, and then we get them back in and we get everything signed, making sure that it's properly done, notarized, witnessed. And then the other benefit is we keep copies of those. It's a source where you couldn't believe the number of times that we have people call and say, well, I've lost my documents, I don't know where they are, or children call and say, I think mom or dad had their estate planning work done with you. Well, we can shoot those off real easily to the people who should have them in their possession. So again, I'm happy to talk with anybody to go through, what people's particular circumstances are, and what the cost would be to do that.
And this is sort of the process that we use. Is you might see us on TV or hear something, but we don't know who you are, and we can only say so much on TV. Then you come to the event, you learn more, you start asking questions, and then you have your one-on-one. So then you grab them and you ask questions, set up an appointment, ask more questions. That's the way to do it. All right, thank you. Last one.
This may sound like a silly question, but if you're in on the donor, if you're in a car wreck or something, how does the hospital know when you get there? If you're kind of dying when you get there, they have no records of your donation, your liver or whatever. What is the procedure there? Do you just somebody lose out on getting your eyes or whatever? Or how do you get that information to the hospital, or how does it?
Right.
You understand what I'm asking?
Absolutely. Well,
and one thing, you could have it on your person and you could have it in your glove box, some of these things. And then what would you say?
Yeah. Well, you're not going to be able to because you're on a stretcher on the way to the hospital. So it's got to be done ahead of time. Dr. Rogers might have a little more sort of inside knowledge on how this would work in terms of, well, sure. Well, I'm not either. Well, we all anticipate that it's going to happen. It's going to happen sometime, except for maybe Ted Williams, if you remember, the left fielder for the Boston Red Sox. He's still frozen. He died in 2002. He's still hoping to come back. But yeah, let's have some.
Can I help with it?
Absolutely.
When I case manage at the hospital, there is when you go do your driver's license, you may say that you want to be an organ donor. You have to register. And you have to get in the registry for organ donation. And the DMV actually has the information. It's a totally separate organization who does this, but they will have the information for you to go and register. That registration goes into a national registry. And every hospital should have access to that. So they know if you come into the emergency room and you're an organ donor or want to be an organ donor, then that will pull up on there, and then they will look at your eligibility. The DMV can make the access to the registry available to you.
Okay.
Well, that's fantastic. I'll have additional information to be able to tell my clients.
Okay, very good. All right, guys, I think that's it for today. Next month we have a multi-award-winning documentarian on the Vietnam War. He's going to be here. The Vietnam War. He's really an interesting guy. He's going to be talking too about benefits. He's traveling from the West Coast to be here. He's going to be talking about veteran benefits and reverse mortgages and other financial tools that might make a difference for somebody you know. So it'll be interesting. He's a super cool guy to meet. He's really into fitness and functional medicine, and he's just a great guest. His name is Michael Pankow, so we're excited to have him. We've got a nice lineup coming, and we just finished our first half of season 5 for Empowering Seniors. So we've got a few more episodes that will air, and then the first 11 will rerun, so you can see all 11 that we did so far. Next month, we start taping, and we'll produce 11 more shows, and we'll hit our 100th episode. And you know, that came about because of the candid conversations we have in this room. These seminars are what got all that going. And it's the only show of its kind in the United States. And so it's really a cool thing. The Wichita is leading the way in a lot of these conversations. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Todd, Rebecca, all of our education partners, and everyone have a great month. And we'll see you next time here at Empowered Senior.